This is going to be my attempt to explain my Gongfu brewing method. I've never done it one-handed before, so that may complicate things. But so I've got some Big Red Robe Oolong, which I've never actually had before. This is my first time trying it. I'm very excited for that. I've also got some 180-degree water, roughly, in my kettle here. So my first step is going to be to take the tea, put it into the gaiwan, and I'm going to give it a rinse. So the function of the rinse is just to wet the leaves and to heat up the teaware. I usually don't fill it quite all the way, just a little bit under, because all I'm really trying to do is to get the tea leaves wet and get them impregnated. So I'm going to give it about 10 seconds to rinse. And in the meantime, I'm going to organize my things here. But it's been about 10 seconds, so these leaves are pretty small, and I kind of want to dump off a lot of those smaller leaves, so I'm going to leave a fairly large aperture on my gaiwan. I'm just going to dump it directly into the tray. The tray has kind of a pretty big reservoir underneath of it that just catches all that tea. Leaves kind of a mess, but this isn't the best tray, but if you don't really care about how it looks, it doesn't really affect too much. So I'm going to let the lid sit right here for a moment. And in my earlier post, I was talking about how the lid should fit pretty snugly into the gaiwan. It shouldn't rattle around too much. It should just really have a nice, just form a nice seal. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute and steam. And it's customary, I understand, to actually take the lid after it's been steaming a bit and smell the lid, which this already smells amazing. It's kind of got it's almost got like a cinnamon note to the smell. So the gaiwan here is ready to go. It's nice and warmed up. I'm going to take some more water and do a proper brew this time. I like to pour around the edges to try and get more of the leaves down into the tea. It's also customary, I'm told, to take the lid and use it to scrape the bubbles off. I don't think it actually does anything. I think it's just kind of an aesthetic taste. But I'm going to give that roughly 15 seconds probably, so I think it's already had it's about 10. I'm just watching the timer on my video recorder here. So, okay, now I'm going to use a smaller aperture than I did before. Aperture meaning you just pull the lid back just enough to pour. I'm going to take it and pour into my strainer here. I go pretty light on the brew. I think you can. I've had recommendations of like 10, as few as 10 seconds for things like pu'ers, 15 for oolongs. I've had people go 30 or 40 seconds. I think it just depends on your taste and how strong you want it. I use this strainer to catch some of the little. I'm not a terribly proficient pourer with a gaiwan. But see here, this is why I really like this particular pitcher, because my hands are completely cool, because there's a pretty good quarter to half-inch separation between my fingers and the liquid, but you also get a nice view of the liquor. This has come out gorgeous. It doesn't really show the depth in the video quite as much as I would like, but it is absolutely golden. But anyway, I'm going to pour off. It's just me today, so I'm just going to dump the entire thing. And this is a first brew. Usually my first brews come out a little weaker than the second. Usually the second and third brews are the ones where it's really good. So that's really all there is to it. It's not terribly complicated. This is, in my opinion, this is the way to brew. If you have a pu'er, I will always brew pu'ers in a gaiwan, because they come out rich and dark, and like some of them, I have a V93 Tuocha that comes out like coffee black, and it's delicious.